One and done Columbus Blue Jackets edition. And I want to cut right to the chase on this attempt here. Aside from the fact that, hey, if you don't know the rules already, go check out the other videos. This is going to be one of the more difficult challenges, I believe, because I don't think we've had a team that is this bad in terms of chemistry out of the gates. It's a very bad time. So, as you can tell with our forward lines, the best we have are +1s. It is Cam Atkinson, as you get a look at his scheme fits, Boone Jenner, who does fit in pretty well, and Oliver Bjorkstrand. The second line is Gustav Nyquist with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Nick Foligno. A third line of Devon Shore, Alex Tessier, and Alex Wenberg, and a fourth line of Josh Anderson, Brandon Dubinsky, and Riley Nash. So it's a problem. This is going to be very, very tough. Defensively, there are no boosts. It is a top line of Seth Jones and Zach Werenski, David Savard with Ryan Murray, and Marcus Nudivara with Scott Harrington. The goaltenders are, of course, Korpisalo and Merzlikins. Before people get outraged, again, I base my rosters off of the past 3 seasons. If I based it off of just this past season alone, yes, both of these two would be an 80+, because they both had very good seasons. But obviously for Merzlikins, it's not much to go off of on North American ice. And obviously Korpisalo had some rough numbers at times, playing behind Sergei Bobrovsky. That said, 78 overall goaltenders in franchise mode are more than capable of winning a Stanley Cup. So yeah, this will be the team that puts to the test whether or not chemistry is all that important to us, because we don't have any. Our locker room chemistry is at a 61 as well. So in terms of luck of the draw with the coach that we have for the team that we have, I don't know if we've faced as big of an uphill battle as this one. Now, of course, in this series, we only get 3 trades per episode. And that is why, of course, we look at the trade block as much as we do, because I have to try and, for a team like this, if I have to make a ton of changes, we obviously have to look at the trade block, because I'm more likely with players on the block to be able to acquire more than one without having to spend a ridiculous amount just to get one player. Sure, I could add Connor McDavid, but yeah, is that going to take Liam Foudy, Kirill Marchenko, and more? Yeah, as opposed to Liam Foudy getting me 2 to 3 players on his own. So that's the issue. That said, Liam Foudy is one of our, if not our biggest trade piece that we have here. Obviously, in the real-life playoffs, he wasn't that bad. Kirill Marchenko's there, as well as is Emil Bemstrom, who just missed out on the cut to make the squad. Defensively, Andrew Peeke is our top option there in terms of trade bait. And then goaltending-wise, yeah, we don't have much. So that's going to be a problem. And then, of course, draft pick-wise, we have our own first, which right now is projected to be quite high. Obviously, that's going to change based off of how the season goes. We are listed as rebuilders. And when we get a look at the overall grades here for the team, I mean, we have as good of a defense as the Maple Leafs, which perhaps isn't a huge accomplishment, but they dwarf us on offense, and in terms of goaltending, it's not even close. So this will be, as mentioned a few times now, quite the uphill battle. We are going to do what we always do, though. The first step in this challenge, aside from optimizing the lineups, is, of course, to sim the opening 2 months of the season, and we'll see what happens from there in terms of what adjustments we need to make, and hopefully chemistry isn't a big factor and this team does well. I'm not going to even mention the record right now, but hopefully this team does well and we really don't have to look at changing all that much. And, if we do get to the situation where we don't have to change all that much, it makes sense to then go out and try to get someone who's not on the trade block, to try and differentiate things. That said, I really don't feel like I've overused players that much. This is episode 9, I do believe. I think we've used Matt Barzal twice, Shea Weber twice, and that's about it. I'm not sure how many duplicate players we've had, really. I don't know. I'd be interested to go back and kind of count how many duplicate players we've used at this stage. I'm quite confident it's not a ton at the very least. You know, that's something I certainly thought of, is okay, I don't want to use the same players every single time. But obviously, you're going to have certain players appear more than once. I mean, hey, if Matt Barzal's available, yeah, you go for Matt Barzal. You kind of have to. So 15, 11-0 through the opening 2 months of the season. Very much in the mix in the Metro Division, as PLD is leading this team in points. He's a sniper, but he only has 5 goals. Go figure. So Cam Atkinson, 19 points in 26 games. Pretty good. Top line worthy. I don't know about that one. Boone Jenner on 16 points. Same thing. Bjorkstrand on 22, which is pretty solid. A second line of Nyquist with 18. That's pretty damn good. PLD on 24 and Foligno on 19. So to be honest, the top 6 isn't that bad. You have Devon Shore on 10 points, which is solid. Tessier's done very well on 15. Wenberg with 14. And a fourth line, 8 points for Anderson, 10 for Dubinsky, and 6 for Nash. To be honest, there isn't that much I'm disappointed in with our offense. Could it be better in terms of overall? Sure. But they're not bad. Defensively, Seth Jones has been really good. Werenski's been really good. Savard's been solid. Murray's been solid. Nudivar and Harrington leaving a bit to be desired, especially Harrington with those 17 penalty minutes. So we do have an internal option to replace Scott Harrington, and that being Vladislav Gavrikov, as Dean Kukin could also be used. But we will probably, and actually I'm going to confirm it, we're going to take out Harrington for Kukin, or for Gavrikov, that is, and see exactly what we're dealing with. So in terms of his line fits, yeah, again, just the top line or the top pair isn't surprising. Goaltending-wise, Elvis on a 905, Korpisalo on a 909. It's not too bad. So really, I don't feel the need, yet at least, to go out and make any kind of crazy panic changes. We'll leave it as is for the next month, and that should help us get a better idea over who's worth keeping around on this team and who needs to be replaced. But obviously right now, still the early stages of a season, and you see with the division, I mean, the only team really out of it would be New Jersey, but even then, they're not in such an awful spot that they couldn't work their way back into a playoff spot. But right now, a lot of win-loss with this team. We did win we did lose 3 games in a row at the beginning of the month. Certainly picking up more losses than wins, and the lack of overtime losses are really hurting us right now. We're going to have to make changes here. Yeah, down to 19, 21, and 0. Oh, goodness gracious. We are currently at 9 points out of a playoff spot. It's not great. That's not great. 51 points. Yeah, no, we are 9 points out of a playoff spot. Just about at the midway point of the season. We might have waited too long, to be honest, to not make changes. So Atkinson on 26 points, not good enough to be a top liner. Same for Jenner. Same for Bjorkstrand. Oh, God. I mean, we just need to bring in whoever the hell we can. We need to get more offensive firepower into this team. That third line's not exactly cutting it either. That's just a straight up answer. We need more offensive firepower. We need better options on defense. So, yeah, trade block, here we come. Trade block, here we come. Because we absolutely need to bring in as much talent as possible. Because this team just doesn't have it as it stands. Arizona, Boston with the same players. Of course, Eric Stahl now on Buffalo, so it's Eric Stahl. He's up to an 87, though. Jesus. Certainly due to the morale. But like Eric Stahl, Wayne Simmons for a leak. That's just a lot of cap that we can't really afford to take on, and no one really fits the team. Travis Hamonic and Michael Stone. Nope. Oh, God. This could be problematic. Jonathan Taves, Andrew Shaw, Ryan Carpenter, and Zach Smith. I mean, Zach Smith in the top 6 isn't exactly what we want, and Taves is way too expensive. We can't afford to just go after Jonathan Taves. Like I said, if we're going to use someone like Foodie to go out and get a solid return, it needs to be more than just Jonathan Taves. It needs to be a couple of players. You think back to the Islanders and who they've given up at certain points, or at least who they've had on the block. And see, case in point, Montreal's not selling this time, at least not yet. So you never know what you're going to get. And here in Nashville, I mean, we have used Matt Duchene before. How do these guys fit the team? Point being, we need a big return. And unfortunately, nobody here really fits the team. Bonino and Turris, that's not enough. I mean, Bonino, Turris, and Craig Smith, but that is almost, it's $14.5 million, a little bit under. That is a shitload of money. Whew. I mean, that's the type of change that we need, but there's just no damn way I'm going to be able to pull it off without them retaining 50% on every single player. O'Reilly, Bozak. Okay, Ryan O'Reilly fits the team. Bozak fits the team. Alex Steen fits the team. 7. Oof, goodness gracious. It's going to be $18 million just between O'Reilly, Bozak, and Steen. Jesus. The problem is, everybody that we're seeing listed right now gets paid a crap ton of money. What the hell are we going to do? What the hell are we going to do? I mean, bringing in like O'Reilly, Bozak, Steen could certainly help, but damn. We don't really have the best options out there right now to improve the team with what's available for cheap. And like I said, obviously, we need multiple changes to this team. It's not just, it's not just as simple as like, oh yeah, one big superstar will change. Like, we can add Connor McDavid to this team. It's not going to be good enough. We need overall changes, and then you could even argue like Bonino, Turris, Smith. Are they really that much better? And I don't think they are. But getting like a Riley, Bozak, and Steen on half salary, how much is that even going to help? Scandella doesn't fit the team. Bortuzzo fits the third pairing, but it's not as if he's significantly better than who we already have. Okay, we need to make a change. There's no doubt about that. But the question is, who the hell do we go for? And if we go for Bozak, Steen, O'Reilly all on the second line, that's okay. Obviously, Nashville. I mean, it's better than Bonino, Turris, and Smith, because at least we get Ryan O'Reilly. I mean, if we go for these three, like I said, St. Louis would have to retain 50% on all of them. The good thing is, after getting rid of Jake Allen, and obviously not having Petra locked up next year, they should have the space to be able to retain 50% on all three guys. Obviously looking towards Alex Steen for a significant amount of offense is a pretty big risk. But those prices are a hell of a lot easier to manage. Now, wow. Liam Foodie just shot up from like a 70 to a 77. Holy shit. That's insanity. I'd love to be able to hold on to him, so I'm going to look at trying to give up Marchenko and draft picks here. I have to add in other options. So this might not work. Obviously, like Dubinsky, you see the effect that these cap hits happen to have on the team. There are some pretty rough contracts on this team. Devin Shore, how exactly were you doing again? I know defensively he was struggling. Yeah. Point-wise, he's not that bad. Say we use Devin Shore and Scott Harrington. I'd be over the cap for next year, though. I don't get what the hell the best of... God damn it. Oh, this sucks. Can I add Dubinsky? Now St. Louis would be over. What if I take out Shore and Harrington? So if I could use Brandon Dubinsky, who honestly hasn't been that bad, but he's fourth line fodder. If I can use Dubinsky in this deal along with Marchenko and draft picks to get this return, that would be amazing. And our picks have a ton of value here too. Will this go through? Not quite. Hopefully we can get this deal done without using the first rounder for this year. That's my game plan here. How much more value is it going to take, though? How much does it add on to have them retain salary? It might take 2 first-round picks. Let's take out that third. We'll go down the road with another first and a second. Will that go through? All right. 3 first-round picks, none of them being this year's first, though. Will this go through? No. We have to use this year's first-round pick, which is fine by me. We still have Foodie to pull off a ridiculous deal. So that would go through, but obviously they just don't want to retain, which is expected, but we need them to retain. God damn it. We're going to go 3 first-round picks. Still won't go through. Holy God. All right, what if we have them retain a little bit less on O'Reilly, a little bit less on Bozak, and this is the new strategy, is just get them to retain a little bit less on each player, and hopefully that doesn't change the cap situation for either team. You see how much value retaining salary adds to each player. Good Lord. Okay. So here's the thing. If I go through with this deal, it's going to have to be Foodie, who you could argue could just be given a shot in the lineup to begin with and is perhaps more likely to produce than Bozak or Steen. I don't know if this is the right trade or not. This is perhaps, out of all the trades, I'm not feeling that. Getting Ryan O'Reilly would be great, but do I trust him? St. Louis would be over the cap next year. How much do I have to take off to have them not be over the cap next year? Will this go through? No. Okay, so we're out. There's nothing we can do right now aside from shuffle the deck chairs that we already have. Because we need so many different changes and the options just aren't available. And like I said, if we go out and try to acquire players that teams don't want to get rid of, it's going to be the same difficulties as it was trying to get St. Louis to retain cap. Because, again, that extra value that teams add on. So if we look here, Gavrikov hasn't done much. I'm going to send he and Harrington down. It makes no difference to me. Might as well just send them down. If they get claimed, cool, it clears up cap space. So there we go. Scott Harrington off to Ottawa, that's fine by me. Dean Kukin is going to get an opportunity. And then forward-wise, 10 points. Nash is doing okay. Dubinsky's been fine. Anderson's been fine. I'm a little bit worried about Tessier. Honestly, just defensively, it's Wenberg, who I'm very concerned about. Same with Devon Shore. Honestly, I'm going to try to send these 2 down and hope either one of them get claimed. That's a ton of money off the books. I can't call up Foodie at this point, which sucks. So we're going to call up Emil Bemstrom. And we could go with Mikhail Grigorenko, who, of course, in real life is going to be on the Blue Jackets next year. There's also Eric Robinson and former Portland Pirate, my boy Nathan Gerby. Let's see what happens. So both of them were claimed by Ottawa. Perfect. So neither one of them were really killing it on the third line, and we just cleared up a ton of cap space thanks to the Ottawa Senators. So no regrets whatsoever over that particular trade. The question is, how will Grigorenko and Bemstrom fit in with Tessier? And then defensively, again, we got to put Dean Kukin into the lineup. Nudivara's been kind of meh. Murray and Savard have been meh. So clearly, we have to take the meh players. Let's see. I mean, Werenski and Jones have both been great. Let's go with that setup. We'll break up all the meh players and put them with people who might not be meh. Seems to be a reasonable decision to me. And Grigorenko and Bemstrom. Everyone fits in best on that second line. It's bizarre. Again, that fourth line can stay the same. And then, I mean, we could slightly change up that top six. I guess we will, and we'll swap Dubois and Boone Jenner. So, changes to the team because of a severe lack of trading options right now that makes sense for a team that needs a ton of changes. Obviously, though, the big thing here for this month is that we just, again, cleared out so much cap space thanks to the Ottawa Senators just being bottom feeders and willing to, willing to take on that ridiculous amount of cap. Good thing is we're at least picking up pity points now. We got a decent point streak going, a 4-game point streak that ended at the hands of San Jose. But we're very much not out of it, and already this team's performing at a much higher level. I wish we had kept Liam Foudy around, but he certainly wouldn't be a 77 had we kept him on the NHL roster. So we're in an interesting spot now. 3 losses in a row, 11 points out of a playoff spot come February 1st. Make that, I think that's 12 now. I didn't get a good look at it. We're 13 points out of a playoff spot right now. 63 points to get in. This is arguably the most dire situation we have ever been in one and done. And we could be staring down the barrel of not making the playoffs. I mean, from a point production standpoint, I don't hate the bottom 6. Bemstrom hasn't had it. Grigorenko's been okay, but defensively it's been rough. Oh, goodness. And then again, we just need more talent in the top 6. Defensively, I guess Murray's been okay. Savard's been all right. Marcus Nudivara and Dean Kukan are a nightmare together. Let's take a look at what's out there. We desperately need to bring in as many assets as we possibly can. Will there be a team that's fire selling, much like we've seen the Habs do at times, the Islanders? We desperately need a team that's underperforming, that is willing to get rid of a decent amount of their talent. Now, again, Jonathan Toews just isn't going to work. As much as I like Shaw and Carpenter, it's not going to work. He has far too much value, especially on 50% salary, which, in fairness, we might not have to do anymore. So maybe, just maybe, Chicago will work. What else do we have here? Nothing there. The problem is you have teams like LA that you would expect to be selling that aren't. Montreal's still not selling. You could look at Ekholm, Duchesne, Bonino, Smith, and just say, fuck it, even if they don't fit, they're higher-rated players. Honestly, picking up pieces from Nashville doesn't seem like the worst idea right now. St. Louis is still selling who they're selling. I think, hello. Okay, so we got a new team in the running. Edler, Toffoli, Tanev. Let's take a look here. All right. I mean, we don't even know how the hell these guys fit in on the team, but Vancouver is at least an option. And it's an option I'm willing to explore. So Edler, Toffoli, Tanev. Jordy Ben's a bit of a risk. We're already bringing in 2 more defensemen. I don't think we need Jordy Ben. You got the likes of Sutter, Levo, Louis Erickson. Josh Levo, because he makes nothing, is someone else I'm interested in here. If we can get them to retain on the expiring contracts of Tanev and Toffoli at the very least, this might be the move for us. I think we have used Tanev way back in Anaheim. But again, I don't really care too much about overusing players. It's just, do I use them every time? No? Okay, cool. Will they retain on Edler? Please be willing to retain on Alex Edler. Not that we necessarily need them to, but the issue is I don't know what other moves we're going to make. So, Kirill Marchenko. Oh, shit. All right. I guess, yeah, it does say 2 times allowed. It'll just be easier to remove Edler. So we'll have to take on the full brunt of Edler's salary, but I don't hate it. We'll try to have Marchenko be the guy here. And then again, I want to try and hold on to Foudy for what he might be able to provide. So it's Marchenko, 2 firsts and a second. What about just Marchenko in the first? Yeah, it's not quite there. Let's, I don't necessarily want to use next year's first. Let's use the one after. Will this work? Done deal. Okay, cool. Let's see if I can get it for a little bit less, because we might need that first round pick in all honesty. What about a second and a third? Sweet, done deal. So it's Kirill Marchenko, a first, second, and a third for Tyler Toffoli, Chris Tanev on half salary, Toffoli as well, and then Levo and Edler. That is a decent little deal for us there. Let's take that. And I am quite happy with that move just to get some new blood onto this team. Let's go talk. Ooh, Marc-Andre Fleury's available. Not that I've ever banked on getting better goaltending in terms of actual overall numbers, because it normally doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll just stick with those two. That's a waste. Whatever goalies we have when I start a challenge is probably who we're going to end the challenge with. So the question now, do we go for Taves or do we look at Nashville? And I think we look at Nashville. And we try to get Ekholm, Duchesne, maybe even Turris or Bonino. Definitely Ekholm for that money. And it's tough to say from here. Calle Yarncroke only makes $2 million. So I'd love to bring him in. And then the question is, out of these options, I guess I'd like to bring in Duchesne the most. And then out of Turris, Bonino, and Craig Smith. 40 penalty minutes for Craig Smith, huh? How much is that in terms of salary? Jesus Christ. We should be able to afford it, though. In theory. I mean, goddamn, would this team be a nightmare to deal with in the future? We'd still have too many skaters after adding in Dubinsky. Who else can I look to add in here that we're not necessarily going to miss? Riley Nash. We'd still have too many skaters coming back. Marcus Nudivara can go, certainly. Oh boy. All right, this is looking rough, but I don't need cap retention. Bjorkstrand's been fine. Of course, we just picked up Toffoli, Tanev. And then from here, I mean, Grigorenko's been okay, but not amazing. Gavrikov can go. Would be over maximum salary for next year. That's not surprising. So, how much would you have to retain? Not much on Matt Duchesne to push this through. So if we use Liam Foudy, who's an 80 goddamn 1, son of a bitch, and I can't call him up. That sucks. If we use Liam Foudy, will this deal go through? No. So they don't want a similar player between Dubinsky and Nash. But there's not much I can do with that. Say I take out Gavrikov. Yeah, because Foudy's exempt. Alright, so we can't have it be that many players. Matthias Ekholm is someone who I'm definitely targeting. But from there, we need to make a decision. It makes sense in a way to bring in Craig Smith because he's on an expiring deal, and that's an easy retention. From there, it's tough to say. So Nashville would be over cap next season if that were to go through, which is bizarre. So we have to be worried about their cap situation heading into next year too. All of this, by the way, to potentially still miss the playoffs. That is a distinct possibility that we are absolutely going to miss the playoffs here. Let's just say I add Riley Nash. Okay, cool. So Foudy and Nash. Again, with Craig Smith, let's have them retain some salary here because I want to try and plug some other players into the deal. So it's Ekholm, it's Smith. And then from there, I mean, we're looking, like I said, at Duchesne, Turris. Yarncroke makes sense because of how cheap he is. Let's see. So Cali has a fucking awful setup for this season, but I mean, this Preds team is pretty bad. Let's say we get Bonino. Let's say we get Yarncroke. I'd have to add 2 other people into the deal. Or we just go for Duchesne, but I really don't know how much Matt Duchesne is going to help the team. I really don't know how much he'd help the team. So looking here yet again, let's add Marcus Nudivara because you've been garbage. And Gavrikov. Alright. I mean, I'd still love to be able to add Duchesne into the trade. I just don't know if the value is necessarily going to work out. And if it does, I mean, we go for it. Yeah, I mean, we offered the same damn thing, didn't we? Kind of a tough call then. So we take you out. I guess in theory, I do love me some Bonino. I mean, Duchesne's the real get here, though. Yarncroke or Bonino. Let's say we take out Nick Bonino. Now I'd be over the cap for next year. Jesus. Oh, what a nightmare. All right, say we take out Gavrikov. I had a feeling. I told you that this team might be a pain in the ass. And here we are. And indeed, this team is a pain in the ass. Let's use that first rounder. Is that enough? Thank God. So we're going to give up Nash, Nudivara, and Dubinsky, along with a first and Foudy, for Ekholm, Smith, Yarncroke, and Duchesne. Absolutely insane. But 2 major deals are done with Vancouver and with Nashville. So our defense is now Jones, Werenski, Edler, Ekholm, Tanev, Murray, Savard, which works for me. And then forward-wise, it's now Dubois, Duchesne, Atkinson, Nyquist, Toffoli. So let's see, Levo's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 with Anderson, and Grigorenko was automatically sent down. So we're at 21. If we go with best lines and look at our defense. So again, Murray was okay. And then we're bringing on a bunch of guys who have really struggled elsewhere. Savard doesn't necessarily deserve to get pulled out of the lineup here, but we're gonna do what we gotta do. So let's put Jones with Murray, and then for the rest of them, I suppose it doesn't necessarily matter. Let's go with Werenski, Edler, and we'll have Ekholm and Tanev. And then forward-wise, who was on the outs? Tessier and Anderson. Right. Bemstrom hasn't done much. So we'll get Josh Anderson back in there. Jenner's been okay. Levo, I'm going to take out for Tessier, and then that way we have Levo if we need him. So, let's go with, say, Smith. Ooh, okay, let's not. Let's not do that and say we did. Boone Jenner might have to be on the 4th line. I mean, Smith, Jenner, Anderson's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. And then a 3rd line, I'm not going to totally worry about chemistry at this point, I don't think. Who can we replace Toffoli with? We'll go Atkinson, Dubois, Bjorkstrand, Toffoli, Duchesne, and Nyquist, Tessier, Yarncroke, and Foligno. Is it a significantly better team? Defensively it is, in theory. I think in theory is the only word that we can really use to describe this team at this point. We're listed now as hopefuls. My game plan now is to sim about 2 weeks, see how the team does, take a look at the block and see if there are any new additions out there. But the problem is most of our big assets to trade are gone. You know, like I said, we utilized them instead of a major blockbuster for like one amazing player. We brought in that overall team depth using those picks, using the guys like Foodie. And unfortunately, we just lost 3 games in a row. We're in a lot of trouble here. We are in a lot of trouble. And I don't necessarily think optimizing the line chemistry is the answer for us. I think it might just be a waste of time. I mean, Tessier is the last real guy that we have with a ton of value. He and Benstrom, Andrew Peak as well, to go out and get a game changer. But that game changer is going to have to be on a team's trade block, because otherwise I don't have the first round picks to stack into the trade, nor do we have someone like a medium elite goalie to really help. So Jonathan Toews right now is certainly a target. Is he exactly who we need? I don't know. Jared Spurgeon's there, but for the love of God, our defense it needs to be fine after all the moves we just made for it. So Jonathan Toews right now is my target. Right or wrong. Joe Thornton won't provide enough. There's also Ryan O'Reilly, who's a little bit more manageable to acquire. Actually, Ryan O'Reilly might have to be the target again. It's O'Reilly or Toews. I think I'm going to go for Ryan here. Ryan O'Reilly. And potentially we could add Tyler Bozak into the trade. So if we look, say we use Tessier. He hasn't been bad this season, but if we can use him to get Ryan O'Reilly, we have to do it. And then who else has sort of struggled? No one with a crazy amount of value. Defensively, say we also use Andrew Peak. So we would be over the cap. We would be over the cap. So who can we add now that Dubinsky is gone to this deal? This team would be an absolute nightmare to manage in terms of the cap beyond this season. I don't even know who the hell to add into this particular deal here. Whew. David Savard is kind of on the outs looking in right now. Is he enough? He's not. Great. Can you retain some salary on Tyler Bozak, please? Not that you're going to want to, because you're the St. Louis Blues and you're a pain in my ass. Holy crap, really? I know it says for next year. Jesus, what extensions are kicking in? What extensions are kicking in? Will this go through? It would, but they don't like the retained salary, which isn't shocking. Then we go to our final few picks. Will this go through? Ryan O'Reilly, welcome to Columbus. We have literally fired every hope and possibility out of a cannon. Just shoot something at the wall to hope something sticks. I still don't know if it's going to be enough. 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay. So we know that Bemstrom is getting sent down. And at least clear some of the clutter. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We have to figure it out with the forwards. Whew. We have to figure it out for the forwards here. So defensively, Kristanev. 2 points, even rating, not that bad. Ryan Murray, Ekholm, not great so far. Edler, not great so far. And then, of course, all right. So, Edler, Ekholm, and Tanev are the ones who are struggling the most here. So let's go with that little setup right there. Hope for the best. And then forward-wise, I guess we're going to take out Josh Levo for the moment. Josh Anderson struggling a little bit defensively as of late. Let's get Boone Jenner back in there. And we might be stuck with line combinations similar to this. As batshit insane as that is. Who else should be condemned to the bottom 6? I don't know the answer to that. I really don't know the answer to that, actually. Save for the hell of it, it's O'Reilly. Now, that would be a minus. I really want to get Yarncroke onto that bottom pairing. So say we have, in theory, Smith, O'Reilly, Bozak, Jenner, Yarncroke, and Foligno. Who's the better center? Doesn't really matter. And then say Nyquist, Duchesne, Toffoli, Bjorkstrand, Dubois, Atkinson. I mean, it works for me. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, we have sold our entire future just about to try and get this team into better shape for this season. I don't think it's going to be enough. We complete 3 blockbusters with St. Louis. I know we get Ryan O'Reilly to be a top option and we put him on the third line. It's crazy. But, yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that this team overall, I will definitely claim Derek Pouliot, this team overall is better. It's just, is it a good combination of players to turn around this season in time? It's not looking like we're going to make it. We have to go on one hell of a run through March just to hope that we get to within striking distance of the 8th seed. Goodness. We have 18 games left this season. I don't think we're going to be able to pull this off. I really don't. I mean, Korpisalo and Merzlikins have been fine. And again, Jones and Werenski. God, Alex Edler has sucked. It was a big risk picking him up in the first place. Obviously, I want to look at getting Ryan O'Reilly onto a higher line. Let's just say we go for this and have him on the top line instead of Dubois. I mean, that center depth right now is fantastic. It's just, is it going to be good enough? We need this team to go on a magical run, and we're not going to make it. We're out of trades. On deadline day, we lose to Minnesota, which is not ideal. We play Minnesota again. We lose again. We get 1 point out of it. Vancouver, on March 1st. This team's toast. This team is dead in the water. Dead in the water. This is horrific. Calle Yarncroke, how have you done since you've gotten here? You have been hot garbage. Get off of my team, please. Ooh, let's get Josh Levo in here. Foligno's been fine. Tyler Bozak, you haven't been here for long. You've been struggling defensively. Duchesne, 10 points in 16 games. Craig Smith, struggling defensively. Let's get Smith and Bozak down to that 4th line. Tyler Toffoli has been pretty good. Dubois has obviously been pretty good all season. Nyquist as well. And there's Atkinson, O'Reilly, and Bjorkstrand. How has Ryan O'Reilly done? Oh my God. Well, it turns out that banking on Ryan O'Reilly was the wrong idea. As it turns out, banking on Ryan O'Reilly was a horrible idea. So Josh Levo is going to fit into this team. And what else are we going to do here? Let's get Jenner there. And then it's either Bjorkqvist or like Atkinson. Oh, this is pointless. This is futile, I tell you. Yeah, let's go Bjorkstrand, Jenner, Levo, and Atkinson, Dubois, Nyquist, Foligno, Duchesne, Toffoli. Let's just get this over with. We are absolutely going to miss the playoffs. Like I said, horrible luck of the draw when it came to the generated coach that we ended up with in terms of how we fit this team. And like I said, we need this team to go on an amazing run right now, and it would be history making at this stage. And unfortunately, what we're doing right now, win-loss, isn't going to get the job done. We'll be lucky to finish over 500. Still 7th in the division. We're winning quite a few games, but it's not going to be enough. 84 points to make the playoffs. We're on 80. Hold on. Maybe if that was Arizona. If we're in the West, we might have a chance. What's it take? 96? 90. Damn it. I saw 84 for the Coyotes, and I'm like, yes, please. We're out. It's confirmed. An 8-2 run in our last 10 games, and it is too little, too late. The Columbus Blue Jackets, in our one-and-done challenge, are going to fall short of even making the playoffs. 85 points, 5th place in the Metro. All the other teams that made it out of the Metro finished with 100 points. It would have taken 94 to make it. We missed out by 9 points. One and done. The one this time meant a season. A regular season. Oh my God. I'm sure there's a lot of places where I went wrong. But Lord knows nothing really went right.